Hello and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy99.7 FM in Accra, live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, on Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Freed Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, Ganga FM in Jirapa, and KTU Radio in Koforidua. Go digital on Spotify and the myjoyonline.com app. And coming up this afternoon, abort deployment of risky vaccines, the caution of a group of highly specialized medical practitioners as they petition President Akufo-Addo over what they describe as the potential dangers associated with the jabs currently being administered in the country. We'll bring you details, plus hear from the Health Minister, who is insisting that government's mandatory vaccination policy is non-negotiable.
The Shinkat will allow entry, and we set up a vaccine center right at the door to set an example. We are testing. If we go to do have been pushed a little bit to go to the vaccination, but we also should not be compelled for you to give us your disease.
Several staff of the Tamale Central Hospital, including doctors, under investigation for stealing hospital funds, as officials reveal some go as far as forging documents to help them divert revenues to their personal accounts.
Are you seeing how we are pushing the hospital down? Now there's no money, and then the very people come say, we don't have this, we don't have that.
Details as officials admit the facility is now broke. Minority in Parliament describes as untenable justification by board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company Limited that procurement of Christmas trees rather save the taxpayer money.
Total cost is then 128,366 minus 50,000, and that brings us to 78,366. That is the amount of money that was spent in 2021 compared to 2016, 5 years ago. This is two terminals. That was one terminal.
This afternoon, we'll bring you details of that explanation, which featured on Mr. Adomotri's TV show, Good Evening Ghana. In sports,
Black Stars have recovered from their disappointing defeat to Morocco and are better placed to beat Gabon in their second game on Friday, according to GFA President Ket Okriku. We have details in 20 minutes.
And later, Striking College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana rejects calls to call off strike and invitation to meet the NLC. The group says it can only call off its strike earliest by Monday and only after meeting its members.
As soon as we convene for the council meeting on Monday and council decides that we have to call it off, because we had already started a process to resolve the matter, the appearance before the NLC wasn't necessary.
We'll hear from them. I'm Arba Kumson. As always, thank you for choosing us. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Abort deployment of risky vaccines. That's the caution of a group of highly specialized medical practitioners to government as they push for the withdrawal of attempts to introduce a vaccine mandate in the country. Last week, many public institutions began denying unvaccinated people access to their premises in enforcement of government's no vaccination, no entry policy. But the group concerned Ghanaian doctors, with some of its members drawn from Ghana's COVID-19 case management teams, are opposing the move, citing, among others, the safety and efficacy of the jabs. My colleague Manuel Coranting joins me with details of their 9-page petition to President Akufo-Addo asking him to prevent the imposition of the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Manuel, so who are the people behind this group and what exact issues do they raise in their petition?
So, by a total of 10 doctors have signed this particular petition. They're led by Dr. Timothy Oblija Ama and Dr. Bismarck Opoku Asare, who is a physician specialist, infectious disease fellow in training, and a member of the COVID case management team at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and a member also of the hospital's COVID task force. Now, they raise, among other things, 4 key issues. 1 is the safety of the vaccines. 2 is the necessity of the deployment of the vaccines. 3 is the efficacy of the vaccines, and then 4 is the feasibility of the country's vaccination rollout program. Now, on safety, there is concerns about some 22 some 20,622 deaths associated with COVID-19 vaccines, as according to the United States VAERS database as of 17th December 2021. Now, the most recent available update as at the writing of this letter shows a total of 1,117,001 reports of adverse events from all age groups following COVID-19 vaccines, including 21,382 deaths and 166,606 serious injuries between December 14, 2020 and December 31, 2021. They also contain that there are still significant, even though the data available suggests that these adverse events are rare, there are still significant evidence enough to point where these vaccines cannot be in good conscience declared to be safe. Right. Now, on the score of efficacy, they say that over the month of September last year in the UK, approximately 79% of COVID deaths were among fully vaccinated individuals as well. Now, there are even schools of thought that theorize that the vaccinated are the main drivers of the pandemic, and they add some exhibits to support these claims. And reports from some colleagues at one of the nation's leading COVID-19 treatment centers showed that of the 25 patients that were on admission from 13th of December 2021 to 3rd January 2022, 20 of them were vaccinated. And currently, out of the 8 patients who are on admission, 6 are fully vaccinated. And these are some of the pointers that they raise in their petition.
But Manuel, they also make recommendations. Run us through that.
Well, so a number of recommendations, including that Ghana and Africa at large should be expected to lead the whole world in the fight against COVID-19, because all the relevant metrics show that Ghana and Africa have done better than most of the world with respect to the pandemic, even before the advent of these vaccines. They also say that we may well be on our way to herd immunity if we are not there already. Per our cultural practices, it is not practical to expect Ghanaians to do away with social physical contact. And so they end by saying that, Mr. President, as concerned Ghanaian doctors, we advise that the government quit the rollout of these vaccines whose risk, per the data and studies we have shown, far outweigh any potential benefits.
All right, many thanks, Manuel Karanting, with that petition. Details of that 9-page petition by the concerned Ghanaian doctors to President Akufo-Addo. We know that they're expected to present a petition later this afternoon. Now, a lot of the cases referenced in this petition are outside the Ghanaian or African jurisdiction. What do we know about our Ghanaian situation? Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins me in studio with more. Fred, what does the data say about our infections, their severity, and the relationship with vaccinations?
Well, indeed, between the 1st of December and the 4th of January, per the data, we've seen consistent rise in the number of deaths. So far, between that period, we have 91 persons dying. And speaking to Dr. Chris Owu, who is the head of severe and critical cases for the COVID-19 management team, he's indicated that majority of these persons who are dying or are in the ICUs or are struggling with COVID are persons who have not taken the vaccine yet, and they are the ones facing severe cases. And he mentions that those who have vaccinated are persons who are recovering quickly and leaving hospital.
All right, many thanks. Fred Smith is head of our health desk. We also joined on the line by General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayo. Many thanks for your time, sir. I'm sure you've heard the details of the petition by your colleague doctors. What do you make of that?
Good afternoon, Araba. Good afternoon to our listeners. Well, we do recognize that our colleagues have concerns. It's rather unfortunate that they are not using the right medium to address the concerns. As a scientific community, there are better ways to address the concerns. And if these concerns were raised through the appropriate quarters, I'm sure data would have been made available to them that may influence their final decisions and recommendations.
Okay, so you raised concerns about the way that they raised their concerns and that they didn't channel it properly. But are their concerns legitimate?
No, before we even give any credence to their concerns, I think
the interview or data from Ghana was just mentioned in the latter part of your report. The data we have in Ghana shows us that these vaccines are safe, they are efficacious. The fact is the vaccine is not to prevent people from getting the infection. Nobody has said that. But the vaccine has demonstrated clearly that they can prevent deaths, they can prevent ICU admissions, and reduce critical to severe diseases. And this data cannot be lost on our colleagues. If they have not had access to the data, that's what I said, that if they had only channeled this through the appropriate authority. For instance, there is a joint committee that meets every 2 weeks to review all our vaccination data in Ghana. Adverse events following vaccinations are being studied closely in the country. If somebody gets an event after a vaccination, there are scientific ways to establish what we call causality to show that the problem actually came from the vaccine, or it's a coincidental event, or it's something that might have happened already but unrelated to the vaccine. And all these data is available. So to cite a few incidents and global data and come to that conclusion, that's why I said it's a bit unfortunate. Because if they had used the appropriate channels, we believe that all these concerns could have been addressed.
All right, many thanks. That's Dr. Titus Beyo, General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, with his thoughts on his colleague doctors there. And he says that data they have indicates that the vaccine is safe and effective and can prevent deaths. Let's stay on health now. And several staff of the Tamale Central Hospital are under investigations for stealing hospital resources. That's according to the medical superintendent of the hospital, Dr. Mahamadou Imbiniwaya. He was speaking to Adum News following threats by the staff to withdraw their services due to the lack of basic logistics for the treatment of patients.
And these very people would package the money to not go down there. To the extent somebody even had his own receipts. And I'll show you the receipt. He's facing disciplinary committee now. He has his own receipts. Are you seeing how they are pushing the hospital down? Now there's no money. And then the very people come say, we don't have this, we don't have that. Theater too is the same. Huge number go there, huge number of surgeries, and how much comes to the hospital coffers. So this is what we are, and all these people are facing disciplinary committee.
They are staff of this hospital.
Staff of this, the one who did it, it's a staff of this hospital. Laboratory, you are taking money. And the listing, they will go to the chiefs. Report me to the chiefs.
Medical Superintendent of the Tamale Central Hospital, Dr. Mahamadou Imbiniwaya. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugri joins us with more on this. Martina, what more do we know about the claims of the Medical Superintendent?
What we know is that he says that logistics meant for the hospital are diverted to various individuals. Besides the laboratory, where he says that they offer services and then they keep the resources. He even mentions that somebody has a personal receipt he's able to issue to people when they go there for services instead of issuing the hospital receipt. And he says that this is actually affecting activities in the hospital because resources meant for work there are being diverted to various parts.
Let me tell you where the cars are. A guy who was going to stand for what election for his community, assembly election or that sort of thing. Everybody from that place comes, whether you have insurance or not, he manipulates the thing and it goes through. Insurance comes in that, hey, this number of people, those you sent to us are not correct. These things have been manipulated. Then what I did was that I gave them codes. So if you sit on the computer that day, your code will go in. I never told them that this is what insurance said. Then the next batch came, insurance sent in and said, all these things, they are false. So you were there, you used it, and down there, and now say, oh, I left my code somewhere, somebody used it. Are you seeing this thing that is going on? So there's a whole lot of problems. The hospital is boiled down in problems.
And Martina is still on the line with us. Martina, you've stumbled on more interesting revelations. Tell us about that.
What we do know now is that there's one staff who was contesting election in his electoral area. And what he did was that people who came from the community to the hospital, he managed to go around the system and offer them treatment for free. And so when they sent the claims to the NHIS, they were told that these people were not part, of their system. And so it's a loss to the hospital, we are told. What we do know also is that the team is currently in a meeting, and we are told that the regional director of health service will be meeting them tomorrow morning.
Thanks. Martina Bugre is our Northern Regional correspondent. Let's go back to the issue of COVID, because the Health Minister, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, is insisting that government's mandatory vaccination policy is non-negotiable. He contends that this is to only protect the country. He spoke on state broadcaster GBC earlier today.
If you come to the Ministry of Health now, we are expecting vaccination cards to allow entry. And we set up a vaccine center right at the door. To set an example, we are testing. If we go to do the executive instrument to introduce these, how will it work for us? So we're looking at challenges that can come with me as a guinea pig in my ministry, and are getting challenges about verifying the codes that we have with which type of device and things like that. So soon things will come. The Ghana Health Service team had actually been to do a strategic meeting, and they've come with proposals that is set on my desk. We are discussing. And so we may have to introduce certain protocols that will ensure that people have been pushed a little bit to go to the vaccination. But we also should not be compelled for you to give us your disease.
Do people get a choice to?
We vaccinate everybody. Elderly people are those we've been vaccinated first without testing. And we don't see such adverse effects that lead to deaths and things like that. Every Ghanaian must choose what they want, so I should choose who I move with. So if you are not vaccinated, don't come close to me. Period. So if you're going to a public place and you're not vaccinated, both of us there to want protection for ourselves. It's our right. So you don't want to entertain you there. So don't come there until you get vaccinated, or don't come there at all until we finish the battle.
Health Minister Kwaku Agyeman-Manu speaking on state broadcaster GTV earlier today. Away from health, the minority in Parliament has described as untenable the justification by board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company, Paul Adumotre, that the procurement of Christmas trees was carried in a cost-effective manner. At least 128,000 cedis is said to have been spent on the decorations for Ghana's airport. Co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, earlier raised questions about the role of the board chairman in the said procurement.
It raises questions why the board chair, as I understand his position is, would be receiving an invoice. So that's a red flag, and it would be interesting to find out why that happened and who the bill was processed to. So yes, it's certainly an issue of concern. The issue be, what is the interest of the board chair in the procurement of light, etc., for the company? Because the board, as a strategic organ, doesn't get into operational issues. It would appear that the board, or specifically the board chair, is interfering with the normal operational running of the entity.
Edem Senanu is co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Well, last night, Mr. Adumotre responded to the issues that have come up so far on his own show, Good Evening Ghana. He explains his involvement was to ensure that the airport gets a good deal. He also revealed the state spent only 78,000 cedis because sponsorship of 50,000 cedis was secured for the project.
We were interested as a leadership to be sure that prudent spending was done. So 128,366 spent on two terminals, Terminal 2 and Terminal 3. We came in and said that, look, we called in the advertisers and spoke to them and said that, well, you need to help us. So they said they'll pay us some money. We asked for some money, we discussed, and they came to a certain amount of money, and they told their management that amount of money was 50,000 cedis. So the 2021 spending had a sponsorship package. Cash, it's not 50,000 in equipment, in cash. The DPP decided to support us because of the representation we made to them. The total cost is then 128,366 minus 50,000, and that brings us to 78,366. That is the amount of money that was spent in 2021 compared to 2016, 5 years ago. This is two terminals. That was one terminal. This is two terminals. That was one terminal. We decided that there has to be a way in which company spending at this season can be done prudently.
So that's a board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company Limited, Paul Adam Otre, explaining the issues that have come up so far with regards to the procurement of Christmas trees for the airport. Well, the minority has been speaking on this. My colleague Joseph Akable has details. You've been speaking to members of the minority. What are they saying about this?
Specifically, the spokesperson on roads and transport, and he makes the point that as far as they are concerned, whether there was a donation or not, they believe that the Public Procurement Act was not followed. They also raise issues about the Public Financial Management Act, which they say that once any donation was received, it became public funds, and so its disbursement should have been done in accordance with public funds. And they say that this explanation that has been given by the board chairman of the Ghana Airports Company rather confirms that things did not go as it ought to have been done. And so they make the point that they are interested in this matter and they will be looking to get answers from the transport minister when parliament resumes.
All right, many thanks, Joseph Akable, with those details. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy99.7 FM. Stories gone by: abort deployment of risky vaccines, the caution of a group of highly specialized medical practitioners as they prepare to petition President Akufo-Addo over what they describe as the potential dangers associated with the jabs currently being administered in the country. We heard from the Ghana Medical Association, which insists the vaccines are safe and efficacious, as well as the health minister, who says government's mandatory vaccination policy is non-negotiable. After the break, Striking College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana rejects calls to call off strike and invitation to meet the NLC. The group says it can only call off its strike earliest by Monday and only after meeting its members.
As soon as we convene for the council meeting on Monday and council decides that we have to call it off, because we had already started a process to resolve the matter, the appearance before the NLC wasn't necessary.
What brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
All is never well with me, Nick Bakbo. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are now giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small stealing. I am tired.
I told you so, Efokoko.
It's all because you are trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlum has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes, Conveniente, also at Amrahia, where it's contemporary but super affordable apartments. Prices start from $35,000. And the Avant-Garde, located in Adjurigano, which has sleek luxury apartments. For more information, please visit edlumhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlum Housing, where spacious homes cost less.
You're welcome back to the Midday News. I'm Arba Kumsin, and Muftal Nabil joins us with the sports. I'm sure you're going to talk about Ayu.
Yes.
How is that going to affect the team, though? Because, you know, he leads the team.
Yeah, he leads the team, but definitely he'll be available today. He was not part of the training session this morning, but what we understand is that it was just a precautionary move by the technical team so that...
so if he's not training with his colleagues, is he going to be participating in our next match?
It's very normal. You can even train just one day and you're part of the team. We saw that from Suleiman Kamaldeen in the game against Morocco. So it's very possible.
Breathe a sigh of relief.
So let's hear from the president of the GFA, Keto Kreku, who has said that despite the absence of Andrea Yu at the training ground earlier today, he believes that the team has recovered fully and will be better placed to beat Gabon on Friday.
I was not happy with the result, but I'm happy at the way the team turned out. Okay, very disciplined. Don't forget that Morocco are a very disciplined side. They are one of the toughest sides on the African continent. Now, I believe that the boys have had a good time to recover properly, physically. As you speak now, the captain of the side you saw today was not here because he's still in pain. But I believe that the technical team have met over time. They've reviewed the games. They've seen the Gabonese. And we are in a better position to go forward. I believe that, again, the team will be very, very competitive in the game against the Gabonese, and we should win.
We should win. That is according to the president of the FA, Keto Kreku.
All right, many thanks, Matal, with the details of sports. Now, Striking College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, has rejected calls to call off its strike by the National Labour Commission. The group says it also rejected an invitation to meet the NLC. Leadership of the group says it can only call off its strike earliest by Monday and only after meeting its members. It earlier this week met with officials of government and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission at a meeting it described as fruitful. The president of the Aggrieved Association, Prince Obeng Hima, joins us over the phone with more details from that meeting. Many thanks for your time. So what assurances are you getting this time from government?
Good afternoon. As we indicated earlier on, we met with government. Government make promises to pay the money at the end of January. And the timetable for payment of even January salary is supposed to be 21st January. We intimated that we have to communicate to the council because council authorized the strike action. So we met a council meeting yesterday. After about 4 hours, council decided that SETAC, wanting to flow from the top, from the bottom to the top, it's important that all the council members go down to consult with their individual members in the colleges. So across the 46 colleges, all council members or college reps are to hold interface with their members, have discussions with them on the matters that arose, and then take their views so that on Monday, God willing, there will be another leg of council meeting where we can make a determination on the fate of the strike action.
And I guess the question on the minds of students is that when can they expect their teachers back in the lecture rooms?
As soon as council meets and make a pronouncement. Well, for now, it's council that will make a pronouncement after the grassroots, the rank and file have assessed the situation, have made their input, so that whatever decision we take will be one that reflects the collective interest of the ordinary member of SETAC, on whose strength we ride at the top.
Very well. Many thanks. That's Prince Obeng Hima. He is president of the College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana. Now, the head of public affairs at the Ghana Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, admits gaps in their monitoring mechanisms may have led to some deviant cocoa farmers using child labor on their farms. His comments on PM Express on the Joy News channel comes after a Hotline documentary revealed how farmers allow children as young as 10 slave on their farms. However, Mr. Boafo disagrees. The board hadn't put in mechanisms to protect children from such acts within the cocoa industry, but he says more will be done to protect children going forward.
Understand that these are not the things they are supposed to do. In fact, if you watch the documentary, some of the farmers create the impression that, well, we are poor, I do not have the resources, and it's a justification for using the children. It gives an indication that, yes, there's the need for us to improve on the education.
It also raises questions about your monitoring mechanisms.
You see, if you talk about the monitoring mechanism, I agree that, yes, we are not able to identify every child in every community engaged in this act. But the truth is that this is also not an indication that it exists in every cocoa farm everywhere. Okay. That is not the situation.
But prior to this documentary, I'm sure you must have heard some of these issues around.
You see, our engagement with farmers is something that goes on daily basis. There may be signs and signals that gives you an indication that maybe there's something wrong happening somewhere. And based on that, you take actions to remedy the situation. But the conclusion that, well, it's a failure on the part of our monitoring system, I wouldn't want to agree with that.
Fifi Boafo is head of public affairs at the Ghana Cocoa Board. Now, President Akufo-Addo has announced a vigorous reorientation of the educational system to focus more on science and technology, describing as unacceptable the production of 6,000 engineers annually in the country. He warns the trend, if not checked, could leave Ghana behind in competing at the global level. To fix it, the president announced the start of construction of Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics Academy in selected parts of the country, cutting a sword for the Accra STEM School at East Legon today. The president said the 32 million cedi project will revolutionize the educational sector with the aim of preparing the Ghanaian child for the challenges of tomorrow.
Ghana has been blessed with the best and brightest on the continent who can help unleash our potential and make us an active participant in the fourth industrial revolution. The time has come for us to rearrange our educational system to equip students with the right technological skills needed to succeed in the 21st century. In accordance with government's education strategic plan, targeted increasing our science to humanities ratio from the current one of 40 to 60 to the desired 60 to 40 in favor of science, government is repositioning our educational system anchored on STEM education. With a population of some 13 million people, our nation produces annually some 6,000 engineering graduates, whereas Vietnam, with a population of some 97 million people, produces 100,000 engineering graduates per annum. By the same measure, Ghana should be producing at least 30,000 engineers annually for the desired level of socio-economic transformation.
President Akufo-Addo there ending the midday news. Our top story this afternoon, abort deployment of risky vaccines, the caution of a group of highly specialized medical practitioners as they prepare to petition President Akufo-Addo over what they describe as the potential dangers associated with the jabs currently being administered in the country. We heard from the Ghana Medical Association, also from the health minister, who's insisting that government's mandatory vaccination policy is non-negotiable. Those stories are on my Joy Online and many more. Go there to read it. My name is Arba Kumson. Thank you very much for your attention. Coming up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabil, and it's on the topic, change what you're wearing. Good afternoon.
Business a bit to say. So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year. A bit to Nana, who's not land you?